This is week 3 of the chronological reading of the New Testament, and we'll focus on Acts chapters 9 to 12. The events of these chapters begin in AD 37, with the conversion of Saul on the Damascus road. In chapter 9, Saul heads for Damascus so that if there were any of the way there, he might take them as prisoners to Jerusalem. The way was a common term in Bible days for any group that thought it alone followed the true path of God. The first century church referred to itself as the Way because Jesus had declared himself to be the way, the truth, and the life in John 14:6. Saul's conversion ends his prejudice against the followers of Jesus. An assassination attempt on Saul's life causes him to flee from Damascus to Jerusalem, where, thanks to Barnabas, he meets the apostles Peter and James. When his life is again threatened, he departs Jerusalem for his hometown of Tarsus, a wealthy city well known for its great schools of learning. Tarsus was situated in modern-day Turkey, not far from the Mediterranean coast. The narrative then returns its attention to Peter, who was travelling around the country preaching the gospel and performing miracles. Peter comes to Lydda, Sharon and Joppa, part of modern-day Tel Aviv. Acts 10 focuses on a man named Cornelius, a Gentile centurion described as a God-fearer, meaning he related to Judaism but wasn't circumcised. He was generous to the poor and prayed to God. As a centurion, he was not allowed to marry, and so his household would have included servants and slaves. The story told in Acts 10 is proof that God will get the gospel to anyone who shows a heart towards him and his people. The story also demonstrates that God is finished with the Old Testament food rules, but more importantly than that, through the cross of Jesus, God has cleansed all people. Jewish Christians are no longer to view non-Jews as unclean or evil. The depth of animosity between Jews and Gentiles is seen in Acts 11, where the Jewish believers criticized Peter for going into the house of an uncircumcised man and eating with them. Some Christians today still struggle to keep company with certain people groups, but God makes it clear, as did Jesus by the people he associated with, that we are called to love our neighbour as ourselves. But God makes it clear, as did Jesus by the people he associated with, that we are called to love our neighbour as ourselves. By AD 41, some of the believers who'd been scattered by persecution had travelled as far as Phoenicia, Cyprus and Antioch. Antioch in Syria was the third largest city of the day after Rome and Alexandria, and had a population of about 500,000 people. Barnabas was sent from Jerusalem to pastor the new church in Antioch. Shortly after, he travelled the difficult 160-kilometre journey to Tarsus in order to bring Saul onto the ministry team in the Antioch church. The disciples of Jesus were first nicknamed Christians by the pagan population of Antioch. According to the Bible background commentary, Antiochans were known for making fun of people, but Christians in the 2nd century decided to adopt the title with pride. No one would have guessed how long the name Christian would last. Chapter 12 records the death of the first of the 12 apostles, James, the brother of John, by King Herod Agrippa I. James was martyred exactly 14 years to the day of Jesus' crucifixion. Acts 12 concludes in AD 44 with the untimely death of King Herod from intestinal worms, a fact also attested to by Josephus, the Roman Jewish historian. He records, and I quote, "A severe pain arose in his belly, striking with a most violent intensity. Accordingly, he was carried into the palace. And when he had been quite worn out by the pain in his belly for 5 days, he departed this life, being in the 54th year of his age and in the 7th year of his reign." Enjoy reading chapters 9 to 12 of Acts this week. Look for 1 or 2 truths that speak to you, and why not get together with others to discuss what God is saying. See you next week.